culture pastor.
All right, Cody, I just need to let you know that I am an official law enforcement officer of Watch Along's podcast, and I have this little ID to show you. Right? See, do you see it?
Yeah.
See my ID? It's in a plastic case. I'm just telling you, I'm the real deal.
In these here parts, it doesn't matter.
It don't matter what your ID says. I like that if Boyd could have said that, he would have.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can go rock on him. But yeah. What an interesting episode of From. We're here. First of all, this is Pop Culture Pastor Watch-Alongs. We're watching along with season 3 of From. We're here to recap episode 7. Oh, Cody, so much going on this episode, but I think first we need to start with what we always start with, and it's what the From?
What the From?
What was making you this episode say, what the From? What is going on here? What am I watching?
Acosta accosting Boyd in the jail. Like, this isn't your house. You just don't get to roam around.
We're fighting now. She did, yeah. It was a little uncalled for that she just let herself in and was like searching through stuff.
And tore up his place of residence. Like, you better be cleaning this mess up.
Yeah, she was a little forward.
And then she just left with the mess still intact. So I had beef, and I'm like, if this was The Walking Dead, you would have been dead.
I do think she's playing a particular part mirroring another character, and I'm going to get into that later.
I have beef with her and maybe the same character that you might be thinking of.
You and most From fans have beef with Acosta.
Yeah!
They do not like Acosta right now. She is not winning in the From groups.
If this was Sparta. That's all I can say.
By the way, shout out to all the From Facebook groups out there. Y'all are crazy with the theories and all the stuff, but I don't think I've ever seen a fandom that is just more rabid for this right now than the From fandom.
I'm with you.
And it's really cool. It's a very diverse crowd, too. A lot of content creators from out of the United States making videos and podcasts on From. Well, it's kind of cool to be a part of this community.
Look at us.
Who'd have thunk it? Not me. All right, let's start off the recap in the clinic / post confusing ultrasound, because the episode kind of starts right there, where, right after the ultrasound confirmed that there's no baby and Fatima is probably turning into a cannibal monster.
Happens to the best of us when you're in From.
Everyone's confused. People are starting to get frayed around the edges. So Ellis takes Fatima back to Colony House. And that leads to a pretty rough Boyd-Christie interaction.
This season, Christie's been a bit much for me.
Boyd's like, listen, Christie, your hair has become a problem. No, he didn't say that.
He was just thinking it.
No, man. He yells at her, tells her to do her job. Like, pretty demeaning.
Well,
do your job. A job. She didn't apply for this job, Boyd.
There was a bit of a setup because she was like, well, you could have told me this beforehand. Like, he just showed up with both of the people from Colony House, lady.
I mean, it is an ongoing problem that everybody should be talking more, I think.
Yes.
You could have told me that, like, yeah, everybody watching goes, yeah. Like, maybe some sharing of information should be going on. But, yeah, so Christie and Boyd get into it. Boyd, like, pretty demeaningly yells at her to do her job. He may have used some more colorful language in all that, but I think we're seeing something with Boyd, but I don't want to get to it just yet. because now I want to move on to Boyd and Donna. And Boyd Donna, like they have one of those leader meetings. And it was really cool, by the way, really cool optics by the way they filmed this. I thought the fog really brought the scene out in a way that filming only in real weather conditions can. I'm not sure it makes sense narratively because up to this point, they'd kind of implied that it was just getting colder and colder, but...
During the daytime, during the winter, fog happens as the ground's kind of warming up.
Right, but it would, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Meteorologically speaking... Man, that's a hard word to say. Yeah, fog in the winter would mean it's warming up.
A little bit.
But I don't think that was why they did that. I think they just had some cool weather conditions on location, and they thought, we should probably film in this. And they made the right decision because it was an awesome scene.
Well, I don't think it's going to be warming up significantly, but during the daytime, it can warm up a few degrees. You start having those conditions. I had no beef with it.
All right, it's weird. Apologist Cody comes out.
Yes.
I'm not used to apologist Cody. Anyways, they have this kind of tete-a-tete, as they call it.
Oh.
Leader meeting. Boyd reveals what he fears Fatima's situation is turning into. She could be pregnant, I guess, but it's not showing up on the ultrasounds, and they're really left with kind of this dual possibilities.
So Donna has taken the most interesting character arc for me this season. Because she honestly has leveled out where, like, she was always hot-headed and quick to yell and jump right in, and now she's kind of being the voice of reason, and she's on the right side of this.
Yeah. Well, this is a theme I want you to recognize. Boyd is on the wrong side of some things here.
How dare you?
Apologist Cody, ladies and gentlemen. No, they have this conversation. They talk about Fatima. The problem here is either she's going crazy, which they have some experience with Boyd's wife and just some other things that have happened. Sarah hearing voices, or she is pregnant and this place is, it's not something human.
So she's either having a demon baby or she's going to become a demon zombie.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all. Honestly, these two actors work really well together. I think the whole scene is kind of gold for me. Donna tells Boyd that Fatima and Ellis, though, can't stay at Colony House. This is like kind of the big moment in their conversation, which is totally reasonable. Like, yes, that makes sense, Donna. She's running quite a different ship than Boyd's running, because she has to be aware and be responsible for the safety of everyone that lives in that house, which is a bunch of hippies.
That's why we don't do the hippie lifestyle.
Boyd does not react well at first.
I was going to say he understands. It just is like, I think another thing on top of another thing on top of another thing for him, that the list just keeps piling up.
Yeah, right. And that's works to the theme that I'm eventually going to get to with Boyd. But I think what's really cool is Elizabeth Saunders, who's the actress who plays Donna. She's so good in this scene. And Boyd does like that feign. He feigns like, oh, I'm hurt. Like, and she like kind of tilts her head back in a way and says, oh, Boyd, come on. Like, she kind of takes, like, just kind of the way you could only do when you're familiar with each other, like two leaders, you're on equal footing. Oh, come on. And she clearly seems to be on more solid ground in the leadership department, which I think is all part of an evil plan. Fromspiracy!
Oh, Fromspiracies happening.
Yeah, I got a Fromspiracy right off the bat here. I think the monsters are deceiving Boyd about trying to break him, just for breaking him's sake. I think what they're doing is actually way smarter, this evil force, which kind of works into some of my other Fromspiracies about, I don't think this is supernatural at all. I think this is like government experimentation or something like that. They're prisoners more than they're the victims of some supernatural thing. I think they understand that Boyd is valuable to the people, and they're trying to ratchet up his anxiety as part of a coordinated campaign to get the Fromvillians to reject his leadership when he reacts poorly, because this is an ongoing theme for the last few episodes. And I think here's my Fromspiracy. I think this season ends with a mutiny. Cody, is Boyd about to be voted out of office?
Probably, but deservingly, no.
Yeah, I don't know that it's deserved, because he is clearly the victim of a pointed attack by the evil forces of whatever this is.
So I do have a Fromspiracy myself.
All right, let's hear it.
So my wife pointed out something that I had never thought of, and that is, so all of our escape trips tend to happen during the daytime.
Okay. What do you mean, like when they get out of town?
When we're trying to leave from.
Oh.
When we're trying to leave Fromville, we're trying to do it during daytime.
Yeah, because they don't want to go out at night.
And then at night, that's when the creepy monsters come out.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the only time you can actually leave from is at night.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, well, I mean, there's some synergy there with the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is there a lighthouse? We haven't seen an ocean.
Nope.
We haven't seen a big giant body of water that you would think, there's a reason a lighthouse should be here.
And wherever this hotel is, you only stay there at night.
The Not Here Motel.
Yes.
$39.99 a night. Always a vacancy. Let's go to Tabs, Jade, and Jim.
Those three.
If you recall, the big cliffhanger last week was the revelation that Tabitha had dreamt of Fromville, and specifically the settlement as a child. So Tabs, Ethan, and Jade take a little hike out there to find a flustered Jim who's collecting some fresh veggies with the red shirt crew. I call them that because they're extras, and it reminds me of Star Trek, and I feel like they're all fodder. Like when they were like, Jim, are you coming? Which clearly he wasn't. I'm like, oh, they're not making it back. But they probably did.
They're just probably hanging out at Colony House.
Jim is dubious. Cody, I find Jim's cynicism here so completely annoying. His wife just unloads this new information that she's dreamt of this spot since she was a girl, and he's dubious? Like, oh, the place that defies physics and any sort of reality you're familiar with hasn't convinced you?
Yes.
What a tool. Am I wrong? This dude's
yes,
being
you
a
are.
tool. I'm wrong?
You are wrong.
You like Jim? You think Jim is acting okay?
I think Jim is acting like probably 60 to 70% of the population would. That like, oh, we've been married for a long time. You've never brought up like the Redstones. You never brought this up. And like, you've had something traumatic recently happen. You were almost out, and then you get sucked back in, and their mom just yelled at you. So now like, this place might be getting to you.
Okay, that's the show. Well, join us next time. No. What? No, he's being a total baby.
He might be a total baby, but I can foresee a good segment of population being total babies in this situation.
Let me be clear. I don't think Jim is just a total bad person. That's not what I'm saying. But I do find it interesting that when Jim is leading the charge with a quest or a mission, it's the most important quest or mission in the world. But when it's someone else, and especially his own wife, dude gets super, super insecure.
Well, they've already highlighted the marital problems.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely playing a factor, and also might be part of why they were having marital problems on top of a death of a child. So
just to be clear, does Jim strike you as one of the people who would like be totally against female leadership? Because he kind of seems that way to me. I feel like he's just super insecure about his wife knowing stuff.
I think he might be overly protective of his wife.
Maybe shows it in a bad way.
And was she... Okay, how did Thomas die? Did he die in a car accident with her?
I don't recall that.
I don't recall either. So don't take that as gospel. But, like, if it was something that, like, she was a part of, he might be extra...
He fell off the changing table.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh. I laugh because, like, I'm pretty sure all 4 of my kids fell off the changing table. That's terrible. That's terrible. They were... So here's from the wiki.
Okay.
Thomas was the 3rd child of Jim and Tabitha. One day while they were changing him, the phone rang, and while Jim was reaching for the phone and Tabitha for a diaper, both were momentarily distracted, and Thomas rolled off the table, dying as a result of the fall. I just want to be like, how tall was that changing table? Goodness.
This was not safe. But so there might be a little bit of that also playing into it, that, like, you're partially responsible for the death of our child, even though I would be just as partially responsible if I'm Jim.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely some things going on. I don't think that he spoke too meanly to Donna. I'll have to rewatch the first season now when they first get to Fromville.
Remember when he's building the radio, he's just like, he's very... Well, I'm doing this, and this is what I'm doing, and it's important. And then, but when it seems like it's someone else doing something, he's like, well, I got to take care of my family. I don't know what everyone else is doing. Just leave me alone. Like, all right, bro. I don't know. Jim annoyed me this episode.
Oh, Jim and Tabitha both annoy me like 65% of the time. So,
meanwhile, Jade makes the important connection here and delivers this haunting line when Tabs is telling the story. He says, if that's the truth and you saw this place as a child, you never really had a chance, did you? And Jade may be starting to put some things together.
Predestination.
Well, Cody, what do you think it means if Tabs was destined to come here? Does it mean, like, were they all destined to come here? Or just Tabitha and, Henry's wife, Victor's mom? Like, what does this mean?
For me, I think that it's not necessarily a sign of predestination. But if it is predestined that Tabitha had to come here, that Victor's mom had to go there, that there may be a need, and there may be legitimate others that are in peril that aren't in the scene Fromville universe. The kids in the lighthouse area, like if they are in need, you have to have someone that has the calling to go, and it may be for a greater good.
They are in need of some hair plugs.
Ayo.
I don't know if those kids are supposed to be ghosts, zombies. I don't know. I want more information about the Onkui kids.
I don't know if I need any more.
Let's go to Julie and Randall next. Cody, what in the world's going on here? Isn't she supposed to be 16 or 17? And
this is a questionable relationship.
Yeah, as a parent of a 16 about to be 17-year-old girl, I immediately am like all over this whole storyline. Like, nope. What are you doing, Randall? Although he's very sweet in this storyline. Like, what happens is first of all, I thought most of this story kind of felt like filler until it gets to kind of where they're going. But Julie tells Randall she never got her driver's license. She appears to be just kind of bothering Randall, like just kind of following him around. But Randall kind of warms up to her when he finds out she didn't get to take her driver's test or whatever. She borrows the Colony House vehicle that I forgot they had, and they take a drive, and they end up out in the woods because Randall sees the bugs that only he sees and freaks out.
Yes, Julie is 17, by the way.
Yeah, I don't trust it.
So I can see Julie's actions happening. I would be super cautious if I was old Randu.
Right. So it makes sense to me from Julie's angle. And for whatever it's worth, I do think she likes him in a way that she might like him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a good job of writing enough into Randall's character where I think he's trying to be big brotherly.
Yes.
I think he's trying to, keep her at arm's length while being nice, which that's interesting and alone. But they end up out in the woods because Randall sees those bugs. Interesting that Julie can't see them, even though her and Marielle and him went through the same thing.
But she had different symptoms.
Yeah, but it's still interesting that she can't see them and he can. Anyways, they find these ruins of some sort, this rock building with these arches, what used to be arches. They both feel weirdly drawn to them, but Randall wants to leave. Julie wants to stay. And frankly, the scene just kind of ends with no real payoff. I think this is I think this whole storyline, this episode was kind of a miss for me. Like maybe they added this little piece in because they needed a few more minutes or something. I don't know.
Or it sets up something big in the next episode.
Well, right. I think that's what I'm saying is like, if it sets up because if it sets up a return trip, they could have just done it all in one, you know what I'm saying? One trip.
Yeah.
So I'm a little confused but I will say Randall is the voice of reason and good advice suggester for teenage Julie is a pretty quick turnaround. That proves that as much as that whole event has further messed up Boyd, it looks to have been transformative the other way for Randall, which is an interesting twist.
It is.
Like, do you think it's real? It appears to be real.
Well, I think at times Randall in the past had tried to do good things. And technically the night of the event that got him left behind, he was trying to be nice and was like, yeah, Boyd, you can hang out on the bus with me. I'm good with that.
For sure. But the monsters deliberately did what they did to try and make him angry with Boyd, which he was and may still be. But overall, his demeanor has completely changed, which could be a backfire.
So also his face is now gnarly looking, and he may no longer think he's hot stuff.
It just destroyed his confidence, man. Just destroyed
it. Might have.
Let's go to Elgin.
My favorite character on the show right now.
Elgin's pretty awesome. I like Elgin. He gives us one of the more wholesome moments in From season 3. He creates this handmade wooden, what are the mobiles that go over the baby's cribs for Fatima. But the scene is interrupted. The wholesomeness is interrupted by the Polaroid camera just taking a picture on his own.
As Polaroids are known to do.
Nope. No, they're not known to do that. I knew this Polaroid camera was trouble. I think you'll remember me saying in a past Fromspiracy that I predicted that the Polaroid camera was going to somehow give us some big answers. And it seems like that has started as it takes a picture of the doors of the bunker we saw in earlier seasons.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it convinces Elgin to go investigate. He goes to these doors in the bunker. He opens up a wall that's boarded. And he's about to give up and leave when there's knocking.
That's never a good sign.
He moves the wardrobe so he doesn't go to Narnia.
Yep.
Because it's behind there. And he discovers that there's another door that leads into a small room. And there's a corpse in the corner. Now, I've seen some theories already. The corpse is, first of all, has an eye patch, I think. And he's wearing a shirt that suspiciously looks like one that Jade has worn.
Oh.
Did you notice that? I've seen some pictures online, and it's I don't know that it's exact, but it's super close.
So you're telling me it's not One-Eye Willie from the Goonies?
No, that would be a lot less threatening, maybe. I don't know. But Elgin turns around and starts asking before he even sees Kimono Lady. Interestingly enough, is this really what happens? To which I said, what happens? And of course they don't tell us anything about that.
Nope. Elgin is the key to everything, I feel, and we quite literally only get him for like a minute and a half each episode, and at the end of the season you're going to be like, well, if only we had Elgin communicating with everyone, we all would be in a better place.
Elgin's the chosen one.
He is.
That's like, if he ever dies, I wish we had sound effects. We could play Obi-Wan. You were the chosen one. Yeah, just kind of another storyline that just kind of ends with that kind of weird moment where he asks, is this really what happens? Let's go to Victor and Henry. There's some tension in that relationship because Victor is frustrated because he's got the dummy Jasper, and Victor is very frustrated by his not being able to get it to talk.
And to that point, I was going to say, it's not how they work, buddy.
Yeah. Henry is, concerned about Victor's obsession, and he tries to get him away from it, but it sort of ends up driving a wedge between them. Victor, takes Jasper, goes back to Sarah's basement I'm still not quite sure, except for that's where he used to live.
He used to live there, and Sarah is the scariest thing in Fromville.
The other direction, Henry goes off and ends up having himself a drink with Donna at the bar. He confides in her about how for a split second he regretted coming to the town with Tabitha. It was a little heartbreaking because he thought maybe it would have been easier if he still believed Victor was dead. And that's just a kind of a heartbreaking moment, right?
Yep.
Imagine losing a child for 40 years, then finding and realizing he'd been in this awful situation, and that you couldn't really erase that, and he was forever changed, right? And in many ways, the boy you had is gone. That kid's gone.
Yeah.
So he really did lose a son, and he's gained this other son who's, really, maybe possibly really messed up.
A little peculiar.
Cody, which leads me to this question, Cody. Do we think Jasper really talked to Christopher, or is Victor's memory warped by PTSD?
I am choosing to believe my dear friend Victor that in Fromville, these dummies actually can talk.
Well, I think it's possible. Anything seems possible in Fromville. I'm asking you whether they're clearly planting the seed that maybe Victor imagined it, or his memories have been warped by trauma.
So I feel like we'll get an answer soon enough on that.
Okay.
That either he'll have a flashback where he remembers what the dummy had said, or with the help of whoever had the dummy before him, or the dummy will talk.
I don't know why you keep calling me a dummy, but we're going to fight. If you don't, you better watch yourself. Let's go to Acosta. We talked a little bit about Acosta already. Our hot-headed officer first goes to talk to Kenny at the diner. This was a really interesting conversation.
She was too sassy.
She is in this mode that Jade kind of arrived in. She wants answers. She wants to do stuff. Kenny, the actor who plays him, is great in this scene. His name is escaping me. Ricky He. He does great in this scene. He has this kind of knowing sigh when she starts getting into this as Acosta's all charged up at everyone else being kind of resigned to their fate.
He was being nice and offered her tea.
Yeah, he says, every question you're asking has been asked before. Every theory that you have, someone else has had before you. And at some point, you either adapt or you lose your mind. And he's trying to be kind. Like, he's really handling her quite well. Like, it's funny to watch the contrast of the two situations with Acosta and how differently they're handled. Where Kenny is really handling it with, attempting to handle it with compassion, but understanding that she's not acting different than people have acted when they first got there. That conversation ends, not much happens.
A cool song gets played.
Yeah. The jukebox starts playing again.
Ooh, child.
Yeah. And
things are going to get easier.
And well, what do you think that means? Who do you think that's singing to? Those songs usually have a point. That seemed like it was directed at Acosta.
I thought it was directed at Kenny.
Oh, okay.
Because who ran the diner before?
Kenny's mom.
Ooh, child, things are going to get easier. And like he's trying to be the compassionate one in this situation, and he's running into this hot-headed cop.
I don't know.
And
okay.
Maybe things are going to get easier for Kenny after losing both of his parents and running into this hot-headed cop.
I thought maybe it was romantic. Acosta's a single female now, and she's kind of attractive. Maybe Kenny was, Kenny's former crush. Didn't want anything to do with him that way. Just friends. He was in the friend zone.
Maybe. I'm choosing to think that life's just going to get easier for Kenny, hopefully.
Yeah, that was a reach on my part. I just didn't know. Finally, Acosta, we get to the part where she goes to the sheriff's office, ransack the place. Boyd catches her. She demands her gun back. And they have this argument where, first of all, both these actors are just, they're nailing it in this scene. They're going at each other. Boyd finally gives in, but in a twisty sort of way. He starts emptying the bullets from the clip one by one, which I thought was stylish.
It was.
And I thought that was a good touch. He actually says, I'll give them to you when I think you deserve them, which I didn't think he had to say. I thought that was, okay. So it's weird because we see Boyd losing control, but then there's times when he's being kind of reasonable.
And at the same token, I would have said, you're never getting these, Barney Fife.
Why do you hate Acosta so much?
She killed someone.
No, come on. Are we going to pretend like her reaction of what she was doing was not something that could happen?
It definitely can happen, but at the same point, I don't think that it's going to change if it happens again.
Yeah. My favorite moments in this were her flashing the ID, not an actual badge.
Yep.
I wrote down here in my notes, lols. all the LOLs. Boyd removing the bullets from the gun and giving it to her. But I'm going to say this. Even though Acosta's pretty much universally disliked by From fans and Cody right now.
Majorly.
I actually think she's an important character moving forward. I think it's important to note that she's not being a pain in the butt like Randall was, who was motivated by chaos. She's being a pain in the butt because she's an alpha who had a rough introduction, yes, and she hasn't earned any trust yet. But I think, and this is just a small little side prediction, I think something that's going to happen at the rest of this season is going to earn her some trust. Whether it's a moment where because I don't think they're going to kill her off, but it's a moment where she could put herself in danger for the betterment of someone else in a tense situation. I think she's going to earn some trust by the end of the season.
I have her as the female Randall, and
no,
that's where
not.
she is.
Her motivations are completely different than Randall. Randall was almost a nihilist.
Well, they both get too hot-headed.
He was just being a butt munch to be a butt munch. She is goal driven. She's wanting to take charge. I don't know. I think they're different. The way she delivers that line, by the way, at the end, it's like, whatever you say, sheriff.
Yeah, so at that moment, it kind of reminded me of the drunk guy on, what was that? Midnight Mass, where he's like, Sharif.
I mean, I thought that was pertinent, and I thought it shows that she's strong. She can dish it right back, because as he was clearly saying, yeah, you're just out of the academy, aren't you? That's why you don't have a badge. You have an ID, first one, which he was probably spot on, because you could kind of see it on her face. By the way, again, both those actors did great jobs in that scene. But then she throws it back at him because, like, yeah, bro, but you're not law enforcement. I was trained to be this.
At Fromville, USA, you bet I am.
Let's get to Fatima, Ellis, and Tilly. It's kind of the central storyline of this episode. Fatima teetering on the edge of insanity and is begging Ellis to believe that she's not just imagining she's pregnant. There's clearly something happening, because we get this just really kind of gnarly scene of Fatima in intense pain and her stomach kind of being sucked in around her rib cage.
Yep.
Which was, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure those aren't contractions, Fatima. This is not a baby.
Well, so
I don't even think this is a monster baby. I think she's turning into one of them.
There's something going on with a lot of the characters that no one else sees and no one else really knows, because none of them are communicating except for like Randall and Lucy. But yeah.
You mean Julie?
Julie. I'm calling her Lucy now. But no, Fatima is having a hallucination, maybe a delusion.
Oh, you're going straight from Fromspiracy.
Potentially.
Because that would be the least likely, I think.
That, like, I mean, we have Kimono Lady showing up for Elgin. We have the bugs with Randall. Julie hears weird things.
She does.
And then, of course, now, with that being said, Boyd had the worms, but, like, we know Boyd had worms.
That just sounds funny to say. Boyd's got worms. We put him on some dewormer.
But yes, like, it's either that if you go with the government idea, then hallucinations.
Then it's all hallucinations.
That, okay, this kind of makes sense. But if it's not, then maybe it's in a reality that only they are experiencing and that others can't perceive until it's finally here.
Yeah. Ellis has this moment with Tilly where he kind of confides to her that Fatima's not pregnant, at least according to the ultrasound. And it leads to this kind of pretty sweet Tilly moment where she's talking about how she had cancer. And as soon as she said this, Cody, I was like, oh no, she's dying.
Don't grieve the living before they're gone.
Yeah, she said that, which is amazing. Also, pretty sure she was dying.
I was like, Tilly, you're a sage. After I had doubted you and your tarot cards.
But she said this. This is a quote from Tilly. She's asked, "Are you afraid?" And of dying, and she says, "Sure." At first, I was, and then I got angry, and one day I realized just how small life is. How it all goes by so fast. You start to wonder how it could be anything but the beginning of some grand adventure, or maybe it's the middle. But I don't think it's the end. Not anymore. Once I realized that, things didn't seem so scary. None of us get to stay forever. Cody, is that foreshadowing? Is she saying something right? Tilly's been right about a lot of things.
Except for the tarot cards.
Also, how dare you writers for slipping this sweet Tilly moment in right before you take her from us?
She might be onto something.
Yeah.
But I definitely think like someone who before arriving to Fromville definitely was experiencing life and death with this cancer diagnosis at her age and the severity of it, that It puts things into perspective.
Yeah.
And when you're in Fromville, you're constantly in fight and flight, trying to just make it one day to the next day. And she's over here like, well, it is what it is, but there's some great things that are happening, and it's not all bad.
I mean, people in our world be living in fight or flight mode. I can't even imagine what this would actually be like.
Yep.
Tilly goes to comfort Fatima, who is aggressive. Imagine that. And she stabs Tilly with some shears, even like kind of before she knows what she's doing. And just before Tilly dies, she tells Fatima and Ellis to run. What was your interpretation of that moment and that run suggestion? Did you think she was talking to Fatima? I've seen this kind of split online. To me, it seemed like she was saying to Fatima, you need to run. Like she was still, even though she had stabbed her, Tilly seemed to process that it wasn't her. That's not what she really wanted to do, but she seemed to process a bunch of things all at once and knowing they're gonna lock you up.
I wondered if there wasn't something that Fatima should be running from supernatural wise.
That Tilly could see at that moment.
Yes.
Yeah. I do feel like Tilly knows more than she let on.
Now, it does make sense that you don't want to be around a body when others are around. But so far, there's only 2 people that know of Tilly's death, and they're both with Tilly at that moment.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Technically, you could remove the shears out of Tilly's chest cavity and be like, oh no.
Oh, she had a heart attack.
Yep. Or
no.
You could flip her over and be like, she must have tripped and stabbed herself.
It's like Monster came out of nowhere during the day. I've never seen him come out in the daytime before. No, I think they're going to get caught. I don't think they're going to keep this under wraps. And this is going to come to a head.
This could be the downfall of Boyd.
Yes.
Because if he has to lock up his son and or daughter-in-law,
he might not do it. But the townspeople are going to call for it. And especially Donna. Because Donna was right.
Acosta.
Because now you go back to that conversation between Donna and Boyd, and Donna was right.
Although Donna said, not tonight. Well, clearly not tonight, because we're not going to make it to the night.
All right, Cody, who's the winner of the episode?
It's Tilly.
Oh, look at that. A little memorial award for Tilly. Isn't that sweet?
Tilly came in with the sage wisdom. She seemed honestly forgiving as she was dying. And she no longer has to worry about the From monsters.
Yeah. She didn't have to worry about breathing or anything. The winner of the episode for me is Acosta. I love how certain characters become avatars of the audience. And it's clear to me that Acosta is for every From fan out there just begging for the Fromvillians to just do something. And with Boyd kind of on a downward trend in his leadership role, she might become valuable to the group sooner rather than later. I don't know why. I think she's okay. I kind of like Acosta.
You probably like heels. in wrestling and in loaves of bread.
I don't think she's going to be a heel long. I think the only reason she is a heel is because she's an alpha and she's like butting heads with other alphas. But I don't think she's bad.
She's bad.
All right, who's the loser of the episode? We better have the same person.
Her name is Acosta. I'm glad we agree.
Why is Acosta the loser of the episode?
Oh,
back up your choice. Don't just say ow.
Like how she talks to Kenny and like dismisses Kenny. And then
she offers condolences.
She's a jerk face. And then the music starts playing and she's like, well, that's weird. And just walks out like, no, He's trying to tell you facts, and then you are being a jabroni. And then you go and you tear up someone's sleeping quarters just because you want your pistola that doesn't work on the monsters. So why do you need it?
I mean, it's her gun, and Boyd doesn't really have any, God-given authority.
He has all the authority.
All right, the loser of the episode, the actual loser is Jim. Jim's a tool. He's unsupportive, and currently I'm totally team Tabs in their marital strife.
I'm team Jade because he's not really pro anyone in this except himself.
Jade still is at the top of the mountain right now as favorite from character. For sure.
Elgin and Jade.
Although Acosta's rising the ranks fast for me.
She is where Randall usually occupies, and for a brief moment, Dale.
Dale. All right, it's time for RIP, the Rest in Peace segment. Obviously, we're here today to pay our tribute and remember Tilly, who we first thought was nice, then evil, then nice again, then maybe evil, then she stupidly brought tarot cards in a clearly demonic place, but then nice again.
Yes.
We kind of went back and forth with Tilly, and now I feel bad about it. Tilly, who gave her life to the rapidly, increasingly homicidal Fatima, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Goodbye, Tilly. We hardly knew you.
Rest in from peace.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a hard one. Not as hard as Tien Chen, but
yeah.
Still, I feel like we did Tilly wrong.
Well, considering like the other colony house person was Dale.
The last thing Donna said to her was, "Can't believe you brought those tarot cards in here. What are you thinking?" And now Donna's gonna feel guilty, I think.
Well, I hope so.
Man. All right. What rating are you giving this? How many garden shears out of 10 do you give this episode?
It was kind of slower. I'll go 6.5.
Yeah, I'm a 6.5 too. That was exactly what I was thinking. I think there's too much filler in this episode, but I think the upside of that is I think they're filling time because these last 3 episodes are going to be gangbusters.
Just focus on Elgin.
What is your deal with Elgin? Clearly there's some answers there, but
I know he's the key to everything.
The key to everything. All right.
Him and Jade are the only 2 we should really be focusing on.
Yeah, I agree. Elgin, Jade, and Acosta.
No?
I thought that's what you said. All right. What do you guys think about episode 7 of season 3 of From? Tell us who your favorite characters are, what you think is going on. Tell us what you think about our Fromspiracies or your own Fromspiracies. Let us know on the social media posts for these episodes. Of course, follow us if you don't follow us. Subscribe to the pod if you don't subscribe. We got a lot of other things we talk about on our main pod, Pop Culture Pastor Podcast, a lot of other pop culture, so check us out.
Yes.
All
Please do.
Cool. It was nice hanging out with you this week. Let's go watch another episode of From and talk about it next week.